Oh, jeez. Yeah, where do you even begin with this one?
Skjønner du liksom hva du er i ferd med å gjøre nå? Skjønner du hva du ødelegger og...
Ja, selvfølgelig.
And today we have the worst person in the world. Let's see if this gets as many views as Drive My Car. Indie film community, you hear me? Yeah, it's another independent film today. Another independent, and for me, as an American, foreign film today. Norwegian foreign film, I believe? From what I saw online, it said Norwegian. I thought it sounded German when they were talking, but they are in Oslo, or part of it's in Oslo. Look, as always, I must preface this, like I did with the Drive My Car review. I'm coming to this video review of this movie in a very inherently biased perspective. I am an American man born in these United States, and I love foreign films and watching different medium like that and consuming it and studying it, analyzing it, talking about it. But keep in mind, it's all from my perspective and my limited vocabulary. So I'm going to butcher pronunciations of names, places. I'm not going to be well versed in the culture surrounding that society. I know what I know, and I'll talk about it. So I just want you guys to know that before going into this. I'm speaking from my perspective, so bear that in mind. Worst person in the world, I saw a trailer for. Funny enough, I think now that I'm going back to my old art house movie theater a bit more than I used to, I think I first saw this trailer for this film there. Maybe I saw it online, but in any case, I saw the trailer, and I gotta say, the trailer does not do this movie justice. Maybe it's the fault of marketing. It gives you an idea of what you're getting into with this movie, but it really buries the lead on what this movie has to say about its themes, its character, and just everything. Worst Person in the World is directed by Joachim Trier? Or is it Joachim? Joaquin? I don't know if it's like a Joaquin Phoenix type of deal. Mr. Trier, he directed this film. He has also directed many other films, such as this film, and such as this film. This man has a well-established, dare I say, filmography. The stars of this film, our main star, the quote-unquote worst person in the world on the poster, Renate Reinsve. I don't know if they actually say like Renate Reinsve. You can tell how much research I did, right? She kills it, by the way. She absolutely. I'll get to that in a second. Other stars. Anders Danielson. It's a little bit easier. I think I got it right. He's also in this movie. A third star. I don't know if I should just say Herbert Nordrum, or if I should say Herbert, or I don't think it's French. Herbert Nordrum. I'm just gonna stick with the phonetic pronunciation. Okay, awkward part aside, because I'm not well qualified to speak on their filmography. They've all been in other films, just so you know. Directors experienced, the actors involved are experienced. But to the meat of what I want to talk about with this film and how I'd recommend it and whatnot. So, worst person in the world. Walking out of it, I had mixed emotions and thoughts, but overall, several parts of this film really spoke to me. The human condition, in a way, or like our current society's human condition. It's kind of like back in the day, life was about surviving, right? And now our generation, my generation, like I'm involved in, like whether it's like Gen Z, Gen X, millennials, we're all kind of stuck in this purgatorial, if that's a word, boat of like, now that we are good with surviving, now it's like living life. What are we doing? Like we're trying to figure it out. And this is what that movie's about. And the more I think about this movie, the more I've grown to like it and appreciate it. It's not a masterpiece in my mind, but I think it's really good. I would even go as far as to say it's pretty fantastic with the themes that it covers. As I said, it's a very relatable, almost a coming-of-age story, and it's mainly about this gal. She's at a point in life now where like she latches onto one career and then is like, no, but I want to do something else. Maybe I want to do something else. And then as you see in the trailer, she meets somebody and falls in love, get a relationship, but then you meet somebody else and it's like, oh, well now I like this person, and what about the person that I loved? And it unashamedly tackles these themes and subjects that are normally kind of taboo for our society to talk about. Because I see it a lot with people that I grew up with, where it's like, once you find that person, then you feel kind of locked in, you know? You have that relationship, and you're like, well, we got to get married, have a kid. It turns into the cost-sunk fallacy, you know, where it's like, well, I've been around this long, or I've put this much time and effort into this. But instead, this woman, you see somebody like this acting the way that she does, and your first gut instinct might be, oh, she runs away at the sight of trouble. But that's not it at all. It's someone who's like trying to figure it out, and in a weird way isn't afraid to like then diverge, pull away, and go more towards what's in her best interest, which at the end of the day, I mean, you can't make everybody happy, and you do want to do that. So again, it's a lot to get into here. It's well directed and shot. There's a lot of nice, like, meaningful shots in this, moments that kind of just help set the mood and tone. All the emotion, both through film and the actors, is very well conveyed, and it's weird because you feel for kind of everybody in a way. Like, she's painted as the primary protagonist, right? But at the same time, not everything that she and the other protagonists do are all inherently good or bad. I think the biggest thing about this film is that it's a cast of characters that are all very, at least to themselves, very well intentioned, but yet your actions will have consequences and can hurt those that you love and can hurt people you don't even know. And at the same time, it's like while you're trying to figure out your life, people already have theirs figured out and they might judge you for it. It's, again, very complicated, murky waters, and this film kind of like delves into that very much, like a character study in a way. Like I said, it's very well acted. There's a lot of laughs solicited from me, a lot of moments that have some organic humor, a lot of moments that have some like ironic humor from them. It's very well acted in that like I said, when I felt for these characters, it's very emotional. Most of us have been there trying to figure it all out. I know I keep saying that, but that's what this film really is about. It's just like when you're trying to just find your way in life, and then if you are in a way, right, you're on a path, but then you feel like maybe this isn't the path for me, then that doubt creeps in and you're like, what should I do? Like, it's hard, man, because then you start questioning, like, what am I doing with my life? Have I wasted my time? What do I do with the time that I have left? What does it matter as long as I'm, like, alive and well and doing this? Again, so many themes are tackled, and it's so much to try to cover in just this like 10 to 14 minutes that I always try to cover it in. This film gives you like a protagonist, but at the same time, the film never overtly tells you what it believes to be right or wrong, you know? You can kind of extrapolate and have your own take from the film and the characters. I found myself like questioning the main protagonist's decisions. All the characters, I went back and forth on some of them. I'm like, oh, I like this guy, and then I was like, oh, I don't like what he said right there. Oh, I like her, but oh, why is she acting this way? It's like, again, I like it. A very realistic portrayal of these characters. They're not written to be exclusively liked or to be exclusively hated. They're all humans that are on their own paths with their own opinions, and they're all weighing in, and they're all trying to. My life is a mess, and this kind of exemplifies that, like the mess that it is. I suppose you could call this like a slice of life film, because I know that with I have my gripes about Licorice Pizza, but Licorice Pizza also kind of has that slice of life feel to it, where it's like nothing crazy happens in this, and if you need there to be a very direct and overt point to your film, you might not like this film. I do think one of the cons of the film, which I guess we might as well get into it now, pacing a little bit. There are moments that linger and do need to linger because they help to drive home the scene, the emotion in that scene, what the character's feeling. It's purposeful silences. It's very similar, I bring it up because I reviewed it, to Drive My Car. Some scenes do their job of holding a shot or a frame or giving you a setting or just dragging on, but they have a good purpose to them. It's meaningful, and it doesn't take you out of the film. It helps to, again, further the tone and the scene, and it fits. But again, like Drive My Car, in my opinion, there are some bits here and there that are like that, but could have been, I don't want to say trimmed the fat. Here and there, like, I felt the length of the film, just in bits. What I don't think helped at all was the film starts out and it says, a film told in 12 chapters. And I was like, 12 chapters? God damn. I was like, I hate that it set this expectation in my mind where I'm like, how long is this film? Because I thought I knew how long it was. And it's only like 2 hours, 10 minutes, or something like that. But going into it and then for them to be like a story told in 12 chapters, a prologue and an epilogue, I was like, Jesus Christ, do I need to take notes? Like, but some of the chapters are super short, so don't let that detract from your viewing experience. That's not a spoiler either. It's just like a story told. It's just any other story, except these chapters are specifically outlined. In the same vein of that pacing, there were small sections of the film that weren't 100% engaging for me. Most of the film was, like I said, a lot of the dialogue and the scenes and a lot of the emotional life moments that happen in this film, I was able to heavily empathize with and connect to. Questions about, like, you know, am I doing the right thing? Is this career path that I'm on the right one? Or I feel unhappy? And then people I've been friends with that have been in relationships for years, and they're like, I don't know if I love this person anymore. And like, is it okay to like be looking for something else, or is it okay to develop feelings for somebody else? And it's like, people need to know that shit happens, and it's okay for it to happen. Like, it shouldn't be a taboo to be like, you know, people fall in love, people fall out of love. People choose one career, and then people are like, oh, I don't want this to be my life. They choose another career. And it's nice to see that represented, because a lot of people feel like they're fucking up. A lot of people feel like they're alone, and they're making the wrong calls, and that they're just indecisive screw-ups. It's like, no, this is all part of life. As you can see by this film, it's part of these characters' lives. Everybody's trying to figure out what to do and trying to figure out what'll make them happy. In the third act, I felt as if our protagonist's narrative was kind of hijacked. I get why. What happens in the film, no spoilers I will give whatsoever. What happens in the film, in the third act, there's a pretty major event that happens, a thing. And when this happens, at first, my first gut reaction, I was like, man, this is kind of hijacking the narrative. It's taking a turn. We're getting away from her to somebody else. But then I thought, you know what? No, she needs to hear this. And this is what's happening right now is very influential for our main character and her, where her head's at and what she's experiencing and what decisions she's going to make going forward. So while I still kind of feel like, you know, I wish the film would have done that then more throughout, like maybe 2 or 3 times, like one in each main like overarching act of the film, but it just kind of happens like a little bit here, a little bit there, then one big time here, and then you have your end. And I'm like, okay, so just again, kind of pacing a little bit. I would have liked some more of that or some more polish there, but it's not enough to bring this film down too heavily, in my opinion, at all. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about aside from just my general recommendation of it. I got to see it in a theater, and that was nice. I think you can rent it right now. I'm pretty sure. If not, definitely rent it. I'd say Worst Person in the World's worth a watch. Here's the thing. If you're not into that kind of indie film, super real, like, it isn't as down and depressing as like Manchester by the Sea. You're not going to be bawling your eyes out, some Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, what is the point of living? Like, it's not like that. But this film is going to confront you with some very important questions about life and what it means as you're living to live it, and just those taboo subjects of like loving someone when you're already with someone else and wanting to just figuring out what you want out of life. I'm repeating a lot of this because I'm kind of just trying to nail home the point of what the main themes are of this film. Like, that's what you're going to be seeing, is you're watching a woman on screen for a little over 2 hours just trying to figure it out. And she's imperfect. Everybody else, like everybody else in the world, we're all imperfect. And this is a perfect example of imperfect beings just living and just trying to make their way. And I liked it because a lot of this film resonates with my struggle in a similar vein. And I think a lot of people out there also feel that. I think a lot of the critics and people that watch this film also felt that. I would say Worst Person in the World is, considering the pros and the cons, I give it a low 4 out of 5. A low 4 out of 5. I think an argument could be made, if I watched it again, I'm sure an argument could be made, and in the future I'd be willing to reconsider and give it a 4. Not to say that my word is the final word on it. Please watch it yourself and give it a 5 for all I care. But I'd say between my personal enjoyment, the quality of itself as a film, the pros and cons weighed therein, all that jazz, I think it's pretty fantastic. I think it's a great, important film that if you're someone who kind of struggles with any of the themes that I mentioned, watch it and you'll feel a little bit less alone. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the ending of the film. That might have been part of what affected my overall view on it. It's not a bad ending, but I don't know. It's one of those endings where you can take it or leave it. But the film overall in itself, I think Worst Person in the World is pretty fantastic. Like I said, worth a watch. That's all I got to say. I'm just repeating myself at this point. Yeah. Again, I didn't stick too long to the introduction because I'm not familiar with the culture or the language or any of that, so I apologize for any of the mispronunciations. For the people that watched my Drive My Car review, if you want to correct me, people actually did provide me with some of the proper pronunciations and gave me some insight into the culture. That was actually really nice of them. So if you want to leave anything like that below, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm always down to learn more. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. As always, I do movie reviews whenever I can. I've got a bunch more. There's a whole playlist. Check it out. And there'll be a link after this. If you want more, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified whenever I do post more movie reviews. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of whatever movie I review, for what it's worth. Thank you, and goodbye, travelers.